What's up, Anthony?
Hey, Coby. How are
Look,
you?
look at that beautiful food row behind you.
Yeah. Well,
You're at the take
oak fermenters.
nice. You're at the winery, I take it.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, you don't
And
you don't have one in your house.
well, when these ones get old enough, maybe I'll take one home.
Exactly, exactly. Well, it's good seeing you, man. How's
Yeah.
everything going?
Yeah, you too. Things are going really well. Just we're having a crazy windstorm down here today, so trying to weather that, and it's just a beautiful spring day.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Did you guys get much rain today, or?
not really. It was pretty intense for about 45 seconds, and then it moved on. So, how
Yeah.
about you guys?
I was up in Paso today, and they got a little sprinkling for a little bit, but it was, by the time I got down on the grade, the skies were blue, and the wind had definitely picked up. So it's howling here in San Luis right now. So
Yeah, every little bit of that rain helps. Hopefully these spring rains will help us get a little closer to average.
exactly right. I mean, what's the average rainfall that you guys typically see out at Nacido?
Average is 12 to 14 inches.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're pretty significantly under that this year. So I'm doing the rain dance and keeping my fingers crossed. So
Right, exactly. Or keep the weather nice and cool to prolong harvest, I guess too, right?
right, yeah, it is quite cold.
Yeah. No, it's good though. I mean, it was shaping up, I think, to be a pretty early vintage, and now it seems to be back to kind of normalcy, I guess, as far as projections for when things will really start getting crazy for us.
Yeah, what's interesting for us, we kind of get fruit from blocks that are spread out all over the Nacido property, and that full spring a couple weeks ago when it was up into the lower to mid 70s, it fooled some of our blocks, but not the other ones. So I'm thinking we're going to see maybe a little bit longer harvest this year with some of those earlier blocks coming in, and then maybe a little lag phase in between. Some of our other blocks, I haven't even seen any buds starting to push yet. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Are you saying bud break with Chardonnay then, and maybe a little bit of Pinot as well, or?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
It's just in our earlier ripening sections, but
yeah,
it feels like the growing season already.
it does.
I'm
It does.
excited about
Like, I want to get through spring bottlings and enjoy a little vacation before you start thinking about harvest.
it. Yeah, we wrapped up our big winter bottling a couple weeks ago, so we're on the downhill side. It feels good.
Nice. That feels good. And then how are the 2020s doing in barrel?
Everything's going good. We're
Yeah.
just basically everything's finished up with the malolactic fermentation, and we're just putting it to bed for about a year.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm liking how everything's tasting. I think a lot of people know with all those heat waves we had, it was a pretty challenging vintage. But sometimes the challenging vintages are the ones that make the best wine. So
It's
pretty
where you
excited.
it's where you earn your stripes or where you earn your money. So
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, everyone
So well,
good wine
I didn't
in a good vintage.
I didn't get to introduce yourself or ourselves, I guess, before we. I mean, this is what happens when they give winemakers the realm of social media. We kind of
Sure.
fly by the seat of our pants. But Anthony, how long have you been at Nacido for?
So I actually came on full time at Nacido in 2013 as
Okay,
the winemaker.
nice.
So just actually before we hopped on, counted it up. This next vintage is going to be my ninth here in this building, which is pretty incredible to think about. I was a young man when I started.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
we were all young once, right?
and then when our winemaker left in the summer of 2019, the Miller family, who owns Nacido and also Solomon Hills and the winery, they asked me if I would stay on and keep making the wines and keep the tradition going. So I happily agreed and got a couple of vintages down now and looking forward to the next one.
Now, like from the previous winemaker to yourself, are you doing any tweaks that you find that like kind of putting your own thumbprint or your own kind of stamp on things?
I think every time you switch winemakers, you're going to change things.
Yeah.
I always think of making wine as the sum total of a thousand small choices, and not every person is going to make those choices the same way. So, I mean, of course, the wines are going to be different. You know, we've got different hands on the wines, different palates, but philosophically, you know, sticking with doing all the hard work in the vineyard, I really believe that that's where good wine is made. Trying to be as non-interventionalist as possible once we do get the fruit into the winery, and yeah, just trying to make really good wines that taste like the vineyard. So that's been my goal since I got here, and we're continuing on.
Well, I mean, you're in a great situation. I mean, I've been lucky enough to work with Nacido since 2013, and I mean, it's just you know, you always, prior to that, I've always had the Nacido wines from various producers and have really loved the flavor profile that the vineyard throws. But to when you get to make your own, it's like a wow moment, you know. And you know, with what you guys are doing there as far as growing quality fruit to now, you know, making wines. I mean, how long have you guys been making wines or under the Nacido label? About 10 years or so?
Yeah, the program officially got started in 2011, where
2011.
yeah, they put the winery together here on the property. So I'm at Nacido right now.
Yeah.
Hired a winemaker and got started making wine, you know, from our own perspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so that was before you came on board, right? And then, so has the program continued to evolve since the beginning, or is it kind of like you're just like, okay, we're going to make these wines and keep it at that?
Sure. No, it definitely has evolved. It's evolved pretty significantly. When they started making wine under the estate label, they were only making 5 wines, which is still the core focus of the program. We make Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Syrah. And that was it at the beginning. You know, 1 Pinot and 1 Chardonnay from each of our estate vineyards, Nacido and also Solomon Hills,
Mm-hmm.
Syrah from Nacido. And now we're actually making more than 1 Pinot Noir. We're making 3 Pinot Noirs just from the Nacido vineyard. And we are making multiple Syrahs. So I think we're up to about 10 wines now. We're bottling a tiny bit of Grenache for ourselves as well, which has been super fun. So yeah, it's definitely an ever-evolving program.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we should probably stick to Pinot, but I mean, I will say this about Nacido: the Syrah out there is insane. It's, you know, like it's I've some of my favorite wines that I've had are Nacido Syrahs, man. There's something about that site and in cool climate Syrah that really just like kind of tickles the palate, you know.
I don't want to get in trouble for straying off a Pinot Noir,
No,
so
good. It's like, you know, we're in charge right now. They can, you know, like, we've got full control, so.
they really gave us the keys.
Yeah, exactly. Not the smartest decision by the Wappen board, but whatever. We'll have fun with it. So
That's why we're here.
yeah, exactly. So well, that's cool. So the 3 different Pinots that you guys make now, are those like from selected or from different areas of the ranch, or are they like the showcase different blocks, or how does that work?
So Nacido is just an incredibly diverse vineyard. It's a large vineyard, but it's also the topography. There's hills and there's little pockets that face south and east, and there's all sorts of different soil types. I don't want to spoil too much for the actual panel, but we get fruit from the same blocks every year for the estate program that we work really closely with the vineyard staff on farming. And so we get fruit, you know, from the little bit of limestone that's planted up on the hill. We also get fruit from a block that's planted way over on the southeast part of the property that's in deeper shale with not as much topsoil. So we make the wine that we're going to taste at the panel next week is our estate Pinot Noir. And that's supposed to be our 10,000-foot view of Nacido. It's got a little bit of fruit from all the blocks that we receive.
Mm-hmm.
And then we drill down a little bit deeper and we make a Pinot Noir that's just strictly from an 8-acre monopole block that is just for the estate program, that's up at the highest part of the property where we've got a little bit of limestone. And then we also make a Pinot Noir that's just from the old vines that were planted here in 1973, part of the original
Cool.
plan.
Oh, that's awesome. So
And,
really
you know,
3 distinct wines for sure then.
right. And, you know, you think of
Yeah.
making 3 Pinots off the same vineyard, that they might be a little samey.
Yeah.
They're completely different, which is totally fun.
Well, that's interesting you say that because a lot of people are talking clone, clone, clone Pinot Noir. Like, okay, I'm going to make a 667 clone Pinot. I'm going to do a Mount Eden clone by itself. And for you guys, it's probably less less clonal driven, and more about the dirt or the where the vineyard or where that site is. Correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially, for example, that block that's just for us, that's up at the top of the property is, I believe, 7 different clones of Pinot Noir. And we generally pick them together and ferment them together. I think it makes a more interesting wine.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely side.
It comes together quicker. It spends its entirety together rather than blending maybe a month or two before bottling and then cramming everything together kind of thing.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So,
How about you? I know you've been making wine from Nacido for years.
yeah, like that's a fun, like I had met Chris Hamill, gosh, in the early days of WAP, and maybe going back to like '05, '06 at the Aubin Clement, the old parties that they used to have, those infamous
Sure.
parties. Um, and I just always put in his head like someday I'm gonna be one of your clients, man. I really love this vineyard, and that goes back to tasting like from stuff from Ojai and from Jim Clendenin from Aubin Clement, and just the names go on and on with the historic producers that have been working with the vineyard for so long. So and then 2013 came around and it was like, okay, this is the time. If I don't start a brand now, I'm never going to start it. And
Sure.
so we started, I want to say it was one of the old, like, it was either Drake or Whitcraft's old block or, also Lane Tanner's old block. So I think when Lane
Okay.
kind of transitioned out, kind of semi-retired from or
Mhm.
retired her brand, those old blocks, those N and Q blocks came up, and I was like, all right, sign me up. That's what I want. I want that kind of tip my hat to Burgundy as. And so I was able to get in there and have looked back since, and I've slowly kind of creeped up the hill a little bit
Mhm.
and gotten some really cool stuff. So yeah, so this will be my ninth vintage out there, and I think I was trying to kind of figure out like how many blocks I've worked with, and I want to say it's been like 6 or 8 different blocks. So
Oh
I
yeah.
there's a lot of blocks out there, but I'm starting to feel like I understand the dynamic of Bienacido and the just the specialty of the place.
Sure. Absolutely. That's great.
Yeah.
2013. That's a good vintage to get started out here. That was a
Oh
good
man,
one.
the early one, 13, 14, 15, 16, those are all like just like really good. And things kind of changed a little bit with the old vines, as things do. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the 17 and 18 are great wines, a little bit more hipster style, but really,
Uh-huh.
really fun, kind of crunchy wines. But I love those old vines, man. Those old vines they've got so much character and so many stories to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. They just get more interesting with age, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And the cool thing about those is you can pick them. You can pick those blocks. Like I was picking like 22 and a half bricks, and you're getting like
Oh yeah.
full flavor, with like a 12.4 alcohol. So it's like you're really getting this old world style in California.
hmm Yeah,
So
and they self-regulate crop loads, so you always get these nice low yields, super
yeah.
concentrated.
Yeah, I don't
That's
think you can really load up those old vines too much.
no, we try, believe me.
Yeah. So where did you get your start into winemaking?
I actually I went to Cal Poly up in San Luis Obispo, which is about 40 minutes from here for people that aren't from the area. But I didn't study enology and viticulture. I got a business finance degree and made it almost a whole year as a stockbroker before I realized that I was just well and truly miserable.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was lucky enough. I had a really good friend of mine who was studying viticulture at Cal Poly, who I see Go Mustangs in the chat there. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
And he was working a harvest down at the wine ghetto in Lompoc and set me up with a harvest internship there. I quit my job and drove back to California, and that was just about 10 years ago now.
Man, that's such a cool story. Mine's a little similar to that. I went to Cal Poly as well, but I was ag business, nothing to do with really winemaking. It was before they had a winemaking program there. It seemed like all the vit guys or gals were doing like crop science or food science, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I had the same thing. I had a job where I was selling produce and it was miserable, like
Okay.
this and went back to wine and got a job and just kind of grinded it out to the point where I am now, so
Yeah.
that's cool. It just shows you that you don't need a enology or viticulture degree to make it a wine business,
Sure. Yeah. It's a lot of on the job training.
exactly. And like each site's different, like each seller's different, so you have practical, but then you have like what each domain or what each spot's doing,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we should probably promote the event a little bit,
Yeah.
So it looks like we're slated for March 25th. There's still tickets, or I don't know. Do you call them? I guess they're tickets, right? Yeah. So you got to buy a ticket, and you can go to worldofpinotnoir.com to purchase tickets, and it's going to be a great panel. Besides us, you've got the Foxen crew. And then Chris, I think Chris is going to join us, right? Chris Hamill is going to
Yeah.
join.
He and
And
I
then,
might share the screen, so that'll be interesting.
yeah, it's always an interesting time. And then, we've got an awesome moderator that I think both you and I know pretty well, and Matt Ketman, who's probably tasted more Central Coast wines than anybody else. He's
Yeah.
worked for the Santa Barbara Independent, but is also the Central Coast editor for or reviewer, wine reviewer for Wine Enthusiasts. So he's a great moderator, a great person, great person to be around, and I know it's going to be a good time. So, yeah, so that's that. So tickets, you can go to the Wappen website under events and scroll down, and you'll see the Bien Nacido 3-pack. You get 3 wines. The Bien Nacido 2018 estate. You'll do the 2018 Block 43, which I think is a block specifically planted for Foxen. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's the way I understand it.
Cool. And then my El Lugar 2016. So I wanted to pull out a little bit older wine that really shows the original plants on the vineyard. So I think it's going to be an awesome event. It's been this whole month of World of Pinot Noir, so there's still stuff going on every day, it seems like, and but it's we're getting closer to that time at the Ritz where we can all hang again and have a good time and enjoy each other's company and drink each other's wines. So, but until then, this is the second best thing, I guess. So,
Yeah. I was thinking about that today, actually. I think that the Picara's got a better pool than we do, but there's some reservoirs out here that maybe we could take a dip in if we if we
uh,
could brave the cold. But
yeah,
between the 5 of us and Matt Ketman, I think we've got well over 60 years of experience with the wines from the vineyard itself, making wine off the property. So it's like you said, we just haven't had a chance to get together and geek out about wine in so long. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be super fun.
yeah, exactly. And drink. I mean, the best thing about wine is drinking other people's wine. I mean, it's you kind of get stuck sometimes drinking your own juice, which is not bad, but I mean, to me, it's the experience of drinking, and like with the same vineyard, different winemakers, different producers. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really cool.
Absolutely, yeah, and the wines are still available. I think so.
Yeah, yeah, there's
If
still
you're
packages available for
sign
sure.
up, it comes with the tasting mat and everything, so it'd be perfect. It'd go along right with us.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think it's going to be great. I am really looking forward to it. Is there anything you want to add, or is there anything you want to say to people out there?
No, I'm looking forward to it. I hope a bunch of people are going to come and hang out with us for an hour or so and taste these. I'm really looking forward to tasting your wines and hanging out with the guys from Foxen and tasting their wines. So should be really good.
The cool thing about this, I will say about the package is um, the the seminar will be live right during this time on March 25th, but it'll also be recorded, so you don't have to feel like you have to drink all three of the wines that night at that time. You can,
Yeah.
it is a Thursday, and maybe wait till Friday or Saturday to where you want to get after it, but you can definitely go back and review or listen to the seminar and drink the wines, so you don't feel obligated to have to drink all three of the wines on one specific day. But I mean, if you're like me, you are going to open all three.
It's close enough to the weekend.
It's yeah, exactly. So well, cool, Anthony. I want to just say thank you for joining World of Pinot, and I'm really looking forward to it, like you were saying, and I can't stress enough how much fun we're gonna have and how much knowledge is gonna be at the table. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, so well, awesome. Well, I'll let you wrap things up because I know you got about a 30-minute commute home. So it's it's almost time to you know go home and enjoy some family time. So I appreciate your time and thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Hopefully we'll see
And we
everybody next week.
yeah, and we figured this out. We didn't even need any help. So it's
I
awesome.
know. Winemakers and technology don't mix.
Exactly. Put us on a forklift and a phone and we can do that all day long, but
Right.
so well, cool, Anthony. I appreciate it. Have a
Yeah,
good
thanks,
evening
Coby.
and thank you so much.
See everybody next week.
All right. Cheers, you guys. Thanks for joining us.